Welcome everyone to Expat Hoops. This is episode 95, and today we welcome Troy Vasco. The Baltimore native has played in Antigua for 3 years, and we'll get to his career and experiences overseas in just a moment.
Before we get into the interview, if you like the podcast we bring you, give us a like on YouTube. It helps us out a lot. You can also follow us on social media like Instagram. And now we're happy to welcome you to the pod, Troy. Welcome to Expat Hoops.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate you having me on.
So, you've had a bit of a non-traditional path into overseas basketball, and we want to talk about that with you because it's something that is unique. Take us through what your post-college career looked like prior to going to Antigua, where you spent your career now.
Yeah, it was definitely not traditional. It wasn't like pick up an agent and then we're gonna send you here, here, and here to all the European countries or Australia or anything. It was kind of, hey, you're gonna have to take a longer route than most guys. So post-college career, didn't get any scouts, didn't get any agents, nobody hitting me about contracts overseas. So I have to finish my teaching career. So I'm teaching, I'm playing in leagues like Leadership, Brunson, and just all these leagues to stay in shape and hoping that the basketball gods will continue to keep me playing. Find a semi-pro team called the Baltimore Shuckers. Um, we traveled to states like Nashville, Philadelphia, Kansas, just playing teams um, just to stay in shape and hopefully continue our careers. So we end up in a league called the CBA. Um, and the owner of the CBA has connections in Australia, um, some teams in Europe, Mexico, all these places. And one of them was Antigua and Barbuda. And I finally got the chance to play. Me and a couple other teammates got a chance to play, and that's kind of how I got my overseas my overseas started.
And it's important to talk about these types of teams because on our podcast we've talked about the various ways in which people have gotten in with the invitational tournaments, a couple of
Hmm.
invitational tournaments up and down the East Coast, West Coast that an exhibition for college players that are looking to play the program overseas,
Yeah.
interact with agents at these places and all that kind of thing. And even back when you were in college, in the early aughts or sorry, the mid to late aughts, it was something that you had to reach out to these types of people.
Yeah.
NIL didn't exist back then.
No.
You couldn't talk to agents. Of course, you couldn't talk to agents openly. That kind of thing
Right.
kind of went on under the table and all that. Everybody
Yeah.
knows that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't an organized process. It was a bit more chaotic. It was a bit more secretive. You had to kind of
Hmm.
be careful, this and that, and you weren't getting paid, and you couldn't sign on with anybody. Now that's different. You know,
Right.
and
Big
that's
change.
something that I've sort of felt like should be emphasized as well because and the Baltimore Shuckers, of course, the team back then. You said you're not sure if the team still exists, correct? Or is that
The team doesn't exist
yeah?
anymore.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like they ceased operation in 2020, like so many things. Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was actually the team ceased operation due to the COVID pandemic, according to the
Yeah.
Wikipedia page about the team.
Yeah. Yeah.
But these sorts of like pro semi-pro leagues that existed were necessary for people like you to be able to get on the radar screen of all these people back then.
Definitely. Definitely. We needed that because even like you were saying, it was kind of um I don't want to say frowned upon, but you couldn't talk to agents. You couldn't go. We didn't have the NIDs. We barely had the tape to say, "Hey, this is what I can do. Let me send it out to people." If you kind of had the tape, you kind of also had the agent to say, "Hey, I endorse this guy," and it's not just something he put together by himself and he's trying to get out there. So thanks to Mr. John of the Baltimore Shuckers, he was able to get a group of guys together. We practiced, played really well. We had a good coach, Coach Smalley. He tried out for I forgot where he went, but he tried out for the Lakers. He did a good job of coaching me. We had a few military guys that helped in. We did our fundraising. So the semi-pro league kind of really helped us or shaped me to prepare me for overseas life, kind of go through adversity to become, who I am today.
Actually, that's something that I kind of wanted to discuss with you a little bit before we actually got into your overseas career is, there's that period of time, like you said, you'd had the non-traditional path, didn't have the agent and everything, didn't go directly to a pro gig, and, it was either semi-pro or working your way up. And you
Hmm.
talked about your teaching career as well. If you can kind of take us through like what that period of time would look like for you, in terms of, when you were teaching during the day, how much you were able to get in work, because obviously, there's this period of time and you don't just pick up a basketball again and go like, oh, I'm going to go off to Antigua.
Right.
So obviously you're continuing to work out. What does that time commitment look like for you when you're doing this during this period of time, when you're a semi-pro player trying to make it
Um,
overseas?
it's kind of like almost college all over again because you have to, as a teacher, you have to go to your job, right? And then you're not necessarily picking up weights or you're not really moving too much. And the only time you're really touching the basketball is with the kids at gym. But I would go through my teaching day. I would probably take after school naps. After school naps probably saved my life a lot of times because they'd be like 3 or 4 o'clock. And then if I'm playing with the Shuckers, practice is like 6, 7 o'clock. And then that's how I'm practicing, getting my shots up, getting reps up, practicing, doing whatever. Um, so it's really teaching, take a nap, get something to eat, and then you're right back at practice. But if it's like practice at 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, man, you're dead tired. But it's just that will to know that, hey, there might be something better out there for me. Let's just stay the path and hopefully the basketball gods will bless me with an opportunity.
Well, eventually the basketball gods did bless you with an opportunity,
Yeah.
but how long was it that you were kind of doing this routine before getting into Antigua in 2020?
I'll probably say about 2 or 3 years. Yeah, I'd probably say about 2, 3 years. So we had, I want to say 2 years where I kind of the team had been in existence before I came there, and they were a pretty good team, but I would say about 2, 3 years, and then probably right before that COVID, they dispersed in COVID. That was probably about a year or two before I left. So it was kind of not too long, but it was long enough to kind of question like, "Yeah, dang, am I done playing basketball or should I keep going?" Kind of that in between.
Thanks to SeatGeek for sponsoring Expat Hoops. We recently became a brand ambassador for them. SeatGeek is a ticket app that takes the confusion out of buying tickets. They offer a 0 to 10 score on each ticket to know if you're getting a good or a bad deal. Green means good, red means bad. You get the idea. It's a really easy way to get tickets to events. Plus, our viewers get $20 off their first ticket purchase with the Expat Hoops code. Click the link in the description to download the app. Remember the code Expat Hoops, EXPATHOOPS, all one word, to save yourself $20 off your first ticket purchase with SeatGeek.
Mhm.
You do wind up going to Antigua in 2020 for the first time. It's where you would spend the next 3 seasons. If you could kind of take us through what that transition actually looked like in terms of like you actually were going to get to Antigua, what the approach looked like, and how it actually kind of came into existence.
So it's kind of nerve-wracking because like again, you don't have the agent, you have film, but it's not like always a guarantee. You have to go out and try out. And then with the league, it's about maybe 6 or 7 other guys you're competing against. So it's like the top three from your team and then top three from another team. So it's probably like maybe 8, 9 teams from other teams in the league. Because it's nerve-wracking because you're gonna go down there. You don't know the environment. You don't know anybody except maybe your teammates and the guys you played against. And you're basically trying out for a spot again. So it was definitely nerve-wracking. But like all athletes, it's just in your head. You know what I'm saying? It's just in your head. So you have to go out there, you have to play, try not to do anything that's out your norm. And you just play. Fortunately, I did beat out some guys. I was the number 2 pick when they drafted me. The number 1 guy is still playing, so shout out to him. But I was the number 2 pick. Um, and it's a great experience. You can't be playing on the island. Beautiful weather all the time, good food. They're really hospitable. So So
Yeah,
it's
Antigua
just
just
a good
sounds like a terrible place to be.
they say that I'm on vacation, but I'm like, no, man, it's still a job. Like,
Hmm.
regardless of where you're at, if you're gonna play basketball, at least professionally, it's a job. So
Hmm.
they're gonna pay you. If you mess up, they're gonna send you home. If you're not producing, they send you home. It's still a job, but like you said, can't beat Antigua, can't beat the Caribbean.
It's a job, and that's something we like to emphasize in this podcast too. That for a lot of people, for most basketball players, who aren't the creme de la creme, being chased after by whoever and making $90 million in their career,
Hmm.
it's a job just like anything else.
Yeah,
It's 99% of basketball players, 99% of athletes. That's what it's going to be.
yeah.
But it is nice where you are. You can go down to the beach and get some grilled
Hmm.
meat and sit there and watch the sunset. It has its advantages.
Definitely, definitely. And going to the beach after games and just letting the waves, it's not like an ice bath, but letting the waves crash on your body and like
Hmm.
just healing your bones and all that stuff. You can't beat it, man. Can't beat
For sure. So you're in the Antigua and Barbuda Basketball Association, or ABBA.
it.
No dancing queens in this league, however. I had to do
No.
it. Sorry, I had to do it. So, so the league itself. Let's talk about on the court. We haven't had a player that's played in Antigua before on the podcast. Tell us about
Okay.
what the basketball is like, how competitive it is, what the state of play is there.
Okay, so it's okay, so it's a third world country. So they were building like a stadium almost, but it's basically just sheet metal and a little stadium and some bleachers and concrete flooring. So for the first year, that's what I played on. Um, but the environment is incredible, man. It's just overseas basketball. You have your fans that are loyal to each team. They hound you. They're talking smack to you from the sideline. Coaches is cussing at you like you're a little boy. But it's basketball, man. All coaches do that. At Allegany, I had not Bob Kurt, was Coach Baker, and he was one of the toughest coaches I've ever had. So he kind of prepared me for ideally the overseas life. But it's overseas basketball, man. They have the fireworks, they have the DJ, they have the crowd yelling. Um, the concrete floor was something different. I haven't played on concrete since I was like in high school, so my knees were kind of getting
Hmm.
used to that. But it's overseas basketball, man. You can't beat it. Players are strong. Everything is all muscle. They don't call fouls. They call me a Yankee, so you take it as like a derogatory term, but they just see you as an American, so the refs aren't on your side. But it's overseas basketball. I love it. I just love it.
And you play for a team that has a pretty unique name, the Cutie Ovals Jays, which is named after an owner that you called one of the more far out characters you've ever seen. So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about the owner of this team.
So he's a politician, but he also played back in the day. And surprisingly, Antigua has produced a couple good players that have came to the States and done pretty well. So shout out to them for making a few players. Kemba Walker is well, his family is from Antigua too. So
Hmm.
last time I left, he came down there and helped run a camp um,
That's cool.
for them. So that was pretty cool.
I bet that was well attended.
Um, oh yeah, it definitely was. Everybody was having pictures. Media came out, all those things. He watched the playoff game, championship a few times before he went to go play wherever he's playing now. Um, but Cutie, man, he's a character. He's a politician, short, stubby kind of guy. His voice is like doesn't match his body. He's just a real character. But he'll sit on the bench with us. He'll talk smack with us. He loves the game. He'll shoot with us in warm up sometimes. But he was just a character, man. Always got something to say. We'll be in the group chat with us talking LeBron, Michael Jordan debates, Ajwan debates. He's just a funny guy.
We have merch. Head over to the Expat Hoop Store where you'll find t-shirts, hoodies, masks, coffee mugs, pint glasses, and more.
It's one of many ways you can show support for the podcast, so head over there and pick up some merch. That link below is in the video description, or you can head over to our website, expathoops.com, and click merch. We offer a couple of different Expat Hoops logos, and we have men's, women's, and kids sizes, so you can get something for everyone. In our house, when we use a VPN, we are sure to use NordVPN. NordVPN secures up to 6 devices and is compatible with Windows, macOS, Linux, Android, iOS, and even your Wi-Fi router. Plus, it's no risk to your wallet. Head over to their website for pricing or contact customer support 24/7. And remember, your purchase is always safe with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Click the link in the video description to use our code and make sure you're secure with NordVPN.
What was the setup like in terms of, what was the pay like? What was the, sometimes when we've had people before on the past, like, some teams will give you a car. Sometimes they'll set up the housing, or, sometimes there'll be like a housing allotment. What was like the setup for you when you're playing down in Antigua? As nice as it is to be down there and just to be like, I'm in the Caribbean, but what was the actual setup like for you in terms of, having to be able to provide for you and basically live there?
So the first time they pick you up from the airport, they put you and the other players who are going to try out in the van. They put us on the military base. So we're on the old American military base there. And we're in the tryout process. So it's me, 2 other guys in kind of like a college dorm setup. And at least for like the first 2 weeks until they get the logistics sorted out, it's just us living on a military base. There's like 1 basketball court, they got a weight room. So at least for the first 2 weeks, my first time down there, we were kind of just, I'm not going to say prisoners, but there was a guard there with a gun. Couldn't let anybody in and out past a certain time. Just kind of living that cramped lifestyle. And the only time we kind of got to go out is if we were using American money to pay food, or we would go to the games. So my first year, I was with Team Otters, but it's spelled Ottos. Team Otters, and when I got drafted, they moved us to a hotel. It was me and this other guy in a hotel, and like all American knows, when you play overseas, the pay is very inconsistent. They tell you it's one time, and then you wait like a week or 2, and they say, okay, I got you, and then they feed you breadcrumbs, and the pay just wasn't there at all. So it was definitely a lesson in learning how to stay consistent, managing your food, managing your money. The ratio was 3-to-1. So if I'm pulling from a bank, I had to pay the overcharge fees, not only from the country, but from my bank here in the States as well. So I just had to be frivolous with my spending. And sometimes if I ran out of money, I wasn't eating for like 3-4 days, just trying to live off. Thankfully, I'm in the Caribbean, so there's fruit trees around, but you can't play and live off fruits for the whole time. So it was definitely a challenging experience. So when I get to my second and third team, fortunately, I played really well with Ottos. That's when I got on Oval's OJs. And they're like one of the top teams like ever, and they're the first division. So they have more money, more amenities, just better living situation over there. So second year there, I played for Oval's OJs. I'm living with the current former MVP, Josh Miner. He's down there playing for Stingers right now, but I live with him. We get the car, we're getting a little bit more money, actually a lot more money than what I got used to the first time. We're living in a house that they rent out. There's mango trees, tamarind trees, soursop trees in my backyard, living off that, and then get money for, kind of accolades like double doubles, double digit rebounds, stuff like that. So it's a much better experience from when I was the first time, but like everybody knows, you got to go through the pain to get to the glory.
So you kind of talked about how, even from one season to the next, that things improved. You spent 3 years there, and obviously seem to stay up with the league and knowing who's still there. Can you kind of talk about a little bit about like the progress that you've seen other than just, the pay being a little bit more stable, and some of the stuff that you can kind of see, now looking back on it about 4 years ago from when you started?
So the progress has been kind of like in the player development, not so much bringing Americans overseas, but I feel like if you're going to a third world country and you're American, you kind of have to be not a role model, but like an example of how you can come from this spot to this spot. So at least the progress for me has been in the development of the kids there and of the younger players who are on your team. I'm a little bit older, so I feel like I'm in that stage where I'm kind of like a Vince Carter, Udonis Haslem, just trying to teach guys the way of how basketball should be played, how you should act in the community, how you should respect people, respect the sponsors, kind of just the way basketball kind of should be. So I'm just glad that development of the league has been not only through players coming to the States, but also the development of the kids. They did just get some tile flooring down, but when it rains, like it rains there, so it's leaking from the ceiling. The floor is sweating. Everybody has to move to one side, whichever the rain blows. They kind of have to get away from it. DJ's got to set it up, but the country's on its way up. They got some good talent down there coming. So I'm just happy to be happy to be part of the development of that country, and hopefully we can get some more. Hopefully I can be the middleman to help them get to where they need to be.
And one last question in that regard is we're talking about your career. You've been in Antigua for your 3 years of your career now, and you're developing the league there, and it seems that you want to continue to be a part of that. But I will ask, is Antigua going to be the only stop for you? Or are you going to look to go elsewhere in your career at some point? Do you have any plans for that?
I would like to play in the ball league. I know it's kind of up and developing, but I like the way they do things over there. A couple of times my friends asked me to play in the Mexico League. I'm not sure which team, but my ultimate goal would be to play in the ball league. But if not, I'll go to Mexico for a few tournaments down there. I like the way they play. It seems pretty live down there. But if nothing comes my way in the next year or two, I'll just go back to teaching. I've been coaching the girls team at my school, so if nothing comes my way, I'll just transition. But as long as my knees work and somebody wants me, I'll keep playing.
Troy Vasco, thank you for being a guest in the pod today and talking to us about your career in Antigua, the 3 years that you've had in pro basketball there. A reminder to everyone listening to follow us on Instagram at Expat Hoops and on YouTube for all of our latest content. Troy, we've got a couple of Expat extras, as we always have, to talk about with you and our guests. These will go up on our YouTube channel for those who want to find them and are listening to it on the audio side. If you're on YouTube, stick around, find another video. But, Troy, care to stick around with us and chat?
I am. Let's do it.
Hello, and thanks for watching. Be sure to give the video a like, and you can watch more videos over here. You can also click subscribe over here so you're notified when we have new content here on Expat Hoops.